Let's do it.
Tuna Bites. We're not done yet, or maybe we're just getting started. I don't know. This is kind of an in-between weird time. Spring break is upon us, or for some of us, or whatever. But hey, we're back. Tuna Buzz. We kind of didn't really finish the season, and maybe we're kind of doing a preview today. So hey, we didn't forget. So we're here to talk about all things the championship and all what happened. Sorry, Jonathan, we didn't forget. And now we're going to also talk about this next coming season and some of the things going on. And just Richard and I are going to share some thoughts. So, Richard, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm a little tired, but other than that, I'm doing really good. Yeah, we figured with we need to do a wrap-up show for the 2020 season. We need to formally congratulate the winner and just kind of, put a nice bow to the 2020 season and then look forward to what's coming up for 2021. So, yeah, I think the first thing we need to do is congratulate the undefeated champions of 2020, Mr. PC. Congratulations, Highland Phelps. You did a fantastic job. You did not pull a Patriots. You pulled a Dolphins. Congratulations. That was an excellent job. And I just got to say to Tum Tum, you lost by 1 point, bro. What the heck? 1 point. Like, I've never seen so close of a final game. That was awesome to witness. I will note that I scored more points than both of them.
Just for the record, Yeah, so did Nathan and Dwayne, who lost in the first round.
So growing up, my dad, I would always wrestle him, and he would always beat me. And then one time I got really close, and then he beat me anyway. And then he would never try to play me again. Yeah. We'll see what happens, but I think this might be the end of PC's. I'm not calling for his retirement. I'm calling for the end of his reign.
End of reign. Well, Richard, that actually we'll discuss that a little bit. I think it'll be good conversation. But for now, I mean, PC can just ask Jonathan. Who's your daddy?
1 point.
I'm glad we get to actually talk about this because when the championship game happened, Richard, there was a lot of things around that, and I was ready to kind of go off and talk about it. And of course, we life happens, and we just weren't able to connect. And of course, that was around holidays, so that was that's kind of when our championship game either falls, happens right before Christmas, or I think we've had some years where it's like right after, and so it's always kind of it's busy for everybody. And it's the end of the season, so for most everybody, you might know who won, but everybody's kind of moved on. But going into that game, as I'm kind of looking through the score and remembering back, when PC, and we talked about this, Richard, with the first round, with playoffs, this happens every year, and it happens in the first round, it happens in the championship game where you make some lineup decisions, and it's like, you go with, these guys that have gotten you there, but then you always have those roster moves where you're like, hey, I can do this or I can do that. And I think the first round of the playoffs, that happened with Dwayne. Dwayne lost, and I don't remember what it was. I think maybe he benched Mike Evans or somebody, that you kind of thought, oh, he could have started. But part of the reason you do that is, and we'll throw up Mike Evans, for instance. Mike Evans last year was maddening because he scored double-digit touchdowns, but a lot of times, he didn't really get many yards catches. Like one game, I think he had like 2 catches, 2 touchdowns. Yeah. So, like as a fantasy owner, you are like, okay, he's doing good, but he's not always great. He's really inconsistent. And so you get in the playoffs, and sometimes you just see a guy who's got a great matchup, and you're just like, you know what, I need this guy to do that. And but more often than not, and this is just from what I've seen, I've made the same mistake in the playoffs. More often than not, when you go with somebody who maybe is just kind of like that great matchup and who's not the steady superstar, a lot of times you get burned, by doing that. And so the reason I say that with PC is that at the bottom there, it's kind of hard not to see the negative 6 points from the Houston Texans defense. And, that was one of those things where, I mean, the Texans, I think, and they were playing Cincinnati, so Joe Burrow was out. I don't even know who was even playing at that point, and it doesn't matter. But at that point, everyone's looking at the Bengals; they're terrible, and so it's probably PC's thinking, man, they're terrible. But then, of course, the Texans' defense was terrible all year, and so sometimes you get those kind of matchups where, like, a bad defense playing a bad offense. Sometimes it's just the bad defense is still bad, and I don't know. When that game happened, when I was watching, I was like -6. I was like, PC is going to lose the championship, lose the perfect season. Jonathan's finally going to get a championship game. And, because I've never seen, I really, and I'm sure it's happened, but I don't remember ever in our league seeing somebody get -6 points for their defense and winning that game. Like, usually you make fun of somebody because you're like, oh, they lost because their defense got -6 points. And so going into that game, I was texting back with Jonathan, and I was pretty much like, yeah, Jonathan's going to win, and this is, PC's going to lose because basically his defense. And I told Jonathan, I said, Jonathan's like, well, I think he said something like, we'll see what happens with Devontae Adams, and I was like, the only way that PC is going to win is if Devontae Adams has like a 40-point game. Not thinking that Devontae Adams is going to have 43 points. He's going to have a 40-point game. And of course, it just it happened, and he lost by 1 point. So, that. Anyways, I did kind of I felt bad for Jonathan, that just the way it happened, because everybody was expecting PC to win because he just ran right through the league. But when you have something like that, the way it happened, this is fantasy football. This is the love-hate relationship, Richard.
Yeah, no, you're right.
But hey, Richard, what do you? I guess to kind of cap it off, enough of harping on Jonathan. I'm sorry, Jonathan. You're trying to move on from it. We're bringing it back. Oh gosh, but I guess we need to put in perspective PC's perfect season.
Yeah, perfect season, and I do need to thank PC for one thing, and that is he allowed me to not be alone on the only one of the original people to not win the championship. So I really appreciate PC keeping the duo of me and Tum Tum alive with no. I appreciate that, PC. But yeah, if we go into his team just like, I don't know, his drafting, his draft this year was so good, and just a couple things that I saw that really he picked up that was really nice was he picked up James Robinson before the season began, and there was kind of a question of who gets what. I feel like James Robinson was a huge key to him being undefeated. Having Travis Kelce is a huge cheat code type of thing for him.
Hey, Richard, can I stop you for a second?
Yeah.
Hey, can you your volume is coming really low, so I can barely hear you, and I don't know if it's me or if it's actually on your volume. I just didn't want everybody to be like, oh, I can't hear Richard, and they're going to tune out. I can't even hear you at all now.
How about now?
Oh, there we go.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. I was like, man, they're going to tune out. They're going to just turn it off.
Darn. Okay. Well, what I was saying is that I feel like the key to his 16-0 season is made up of 4 players, and just 4 players. It's Devontae Adams, sure. The cheat code of Travis Kelce. Dalvin Cook, just being the workhorse he is. And then the pickup at the beginning of the season with James Robinson. I think those 4 players by themselves was just what made PC's team be PC's team of 16-0. What do you think?
No, I agree with you, man. Yeah, no, I mean they just it was a juggernaut. I mean, those guys were awesome. Pickup of the year had, arguably three of the best players. I mean, well, at their position. I mean, to have the running back, tight end, receiver. I mean, I would make the argument that we didn't really talk about this and we did it last year, but I would make the argument that Travis Kelce was a fantasy MVP because of the position. I mean, he was just, I mean, I think Darren Waller was second. Darren Waller had a really great season, but I mean, Travis Kelce was still so far ahead. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was you had an advantage, and we've talked about this before, and I think that's why I get caught sometimes chasing the tight end a little bit, because if you find that one or two, that, I mean, you have an advantage, and it's hard enough to get points from tight ends, but Travis Kelce had an historic season, and I honestly, the Travis Kelce season was like Gronk, I think, many years ago when Gronk had 18 touchdowns or something crazy. He had like this multi-touchdown, and everybody thought, oh man, he should be picked in like close to the first in the draft, and because of the advantage. But you're right. I mean, I think PC, he made some really, throughout the season, he was able to just find guys and plug them in his roster that made him just, I mean, he ended up, I think, with like the easiest schedule. So of course, going undefeated, in fantasy, there's going to be games that, that helped him. But for the most part, I mean, he was a juggernaut, and, he was just plowing through people, through that. So yeah, those guys were just, it was like unbeatable. I mean, he almost lost in the end, but I don't think, I mean, we can never say never, but I'll be surprised if we see another undefeated season, in our league, just because of the way how competitive our league is. And it's just so hard. There's so many things, injuries that happen. I'm not sure we'll see it. I didn't think it was going to finish that way. I thought, he's going to get somewhere, somebody, it might happen in the first round or whatever, but he'll get hit or something with a bad week and somebody comes through. But, and I think that was the week before, when, I think he played Dwayne or whatever, that Dwayne could have actually, beaten PC, but some roster lineup mistakes but I think, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that, I mean, greatest season that we've ever had, that we've ever seen in our league. I think, you could debate, the best team, and I talked about this. I've always talked about Josh's team, where he was like the Patriots, who didn't win the Super Bowl, but had this like many years ago, amazing team, probably one of the best teams I've ever seen in fantasy. So I think there's definitely, and there's other teams I'm sure we could talk about where we can debate like the best team. But as far as best season, it's PC. I mean, there's nothing that can top it. He was dominant. So
I agree. And let's give a little bit of credit to Tum Tum. To Jonathan. At the beginning of the season, I don't know if you remember, but when we were talking about each division, we both were like, Jonathan is probably the one to beat. I don't know. We kind of predicted this outcome for him. He fell just short, but I mean, in reality, he had to overcome his number one running back out pretty much for the season in Christian McCaffrey. So what he did this past season, just from his own team and being able to do what he did, is incredible. So hats off to him, even though it didn't quite work out 100%, but I mean, he did a fantastic job as far as getting as close as he did to a win. So
yeah, I don't think he could have done it. I mean, he did so good drafting. Yeah. I mean, you're right. If he doesn't have the McCaffrey and injuries, I mean, he probably has the trophy. I mean, his drafting was great. And I mean, he did the best that he could with what he had. And I mean, so yeah, he did a great job. I know it's kind of, you're there at the championship and you want to win it, but obviously we all could see that PC was just, was in this record season, and COVID year too. I mean, it's just it was a wild year. And
maybe we should put an asterisk next to it for COVID.
That would get PC coming back. That would he'd have some things to say about that. But yeah, Richard, you mentioned it in the beginning. Talking about PC's reign, and we have to note that PC has been in the championship game the last 3 years, and he's won the last 2 out of 3. And he has been in on a very, very impressive run. And it's like his kind of dynasty, so to speak, with his team. And we'll see next year. Can he continue with that?
It's a new decade.
What's that?
It's a new decade.
Oh, yeah, that's true. It's a new decade. Can anybody take down the Highland Celts? That's going to be, the big thing. But yeah. So yeah, let's Richard. Let's kind of. I know we want to talk a little about next year. We can talk about current. I mean, I certainly wouldn't mind talking about those Bucks, baby, Super Bowl champs.
Congratulations to you, Bucks fans.
Yes.
I'd like to say I took part a little bit, but not really. Speaking of Kelsey, the only movement that Kansas City had during that game was Kelsey. I don't know if you recall, but they had one drive where they just threw it to Kelsey nonstop, and they were driving the field. But man, the Bucks did an amazing job just defensively. The entire time, I kept oohing and ahhing at the defense. I was just like, holy cow! Like I was just like, dang, it was amazing defense. And Tom Brady to Tyrann Mathieu's head was just wonderful. I just really liked it.
Go.
This is my hatred coming through more than anything else.
Richard, it's still kind of to me as a Bucks fan, like I'm still in a little bit like a disbelief. Like it's happened and it's there, but it's like still just trying to sink in because when they got Brady, you were excited just because it's Tom Brady and he's signing with the Bucks and but of course, like I think like most people, you're kind of like, okay, what does Brady have left in the tank? It's a COVID year. How is this really going to go? And even during like the season, it was kind of a roller coaster and they had some blowout losses. And so my expectations in the playoffs was just kind of like, all right, win a game, maybe 2. Let's see how far they can get. But then it was like they just kept winning and then they're in the Super Bowl and the Chiefs. So it was amazing. I was like I'm still like, wow, they won the Super Bowl and so in Tampa. So
what did you think of that parade with Tom Brady? You see that?
Yeah, Tom. Yeah, he was letting loose. He was. I will say for Tampa sports, it's happening COVID. So like the Tampa Bay Lightning, they won the cup. They all had to do boat parades. And I will say what's kind of cool about. I mean, it stinks because you don't get all the fans in it, and that's the one thing that stunk about the Tampa sports winning these championships. They don't have all the fans, but like it's kind of cool to see in the boat parade. Like not everybody can just do a boat parade and like and where they're.
I thought it was great. I think they should do boat parades from now on. To be honest, it was great. Yeah. I thought it was awesome. It was unique. It was awesome. I'm all for it.
Yeah, it was good, man. Yeah, and of course, now we're starting to see like some movement in franchise tag, and of course, getting up close to free agency now, and obviously the draft. They're gonna be heading for the draft, and any kind of thoughts you've had so far?
Draft is later this year, right?
Yeah, I think it's the end of April.
Is it?
I think it's the end of April or
March. I can't remember.
It's the end of April.
Okay. So, yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to. I guess I'm cheering for Urban Meyer again. I don't know.
It's like, oh, he retired. He's back. Oh, he retired. Oh, he's back. Oh, he retired. He's back.
I think him going into the NFL, I think is going to be interesting to see what happens. I think he's had control issues. I mean, that's why he gets all that stress. So if he can relinquish the control and just trust the people he hires, he might not have the stress and causing all the health issues he has. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see. Rebuilding. We got James Robinson. They want to build around him, and they're probably gonna pick up Trevor Lawrence, which is supposedly going to be a great quarterback. I didn't really watch a whole lot of college football this year, but supposedly he's on the level of Andrew Luck. So from what I hear, I don't know. I have no clue. I'm not a scout. I just listen. But yeah, so we'll see what happens.
Well, that's definitely a lot of changes. I mean, gosh, we could talk about a lot. I mean, Matthew Stafford getting traded to the Rams, and gosh, they're going for it. That'll be
I noticed you didn't say Goff to the Lions.
Poor Jared Goff. Yeah, we're not going to franchise tag Kenny Golladay. We're just going to let him go. We're going to tank. Good luck. Oh gosh.
Stafford to the Rams, I think, is going to be super interesting. I think, like, I'm really sad that I trade Cam Akers to Aaron because of that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No, they'll be an interesting team. I mean, they don't have a lot of flexibility, so I think it'll pretty much be who they have on offenses. I mean, that's going to be an interesting one for Cam Akers, for Robert Woods, for Cooper Kupp. Does Stafford elevate them enough to? I mean, they already could be really good, but does that kind of elevate them to, where we're thinking a little bit different about them as fantasy receivers next year?
I think so. I mean, I think it elevates. I mean, if you listen to fantasy analysts, they'll say it doesn't change much, but I think you'll get more consistency than anything else. I think that's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, Stafford's a good quarterback, and he's finally going to be in a place to where he can be really successful. The Lions kind of weren't putting the necessary things that he needed. So it'll be good. I think it'll be good.
Yeah. Do you think either Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson will get traded?
I don't know. They're doing some big stinks, aren't they? Holy cow.
Yeah.
Watson and Houston are playing chicken right now. Like, it's like, who's going to budge on their statements? Watson saying he's not going to play for Houston, and Houston said they're not going to trade him. So one of them is going to bend. Or you'd love to see Watson again, I guess. Like, that's.
Yeah, I guess I'm not like, I think with the Russell Wilson thing is, I think, if they don't trade him, which I don't think they really want to, but if they don't trade him, I think Russell Wilson just plays. I don't think he's going to do. I think he's kind of in that, But I do think with Watson, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe he's just playing hard, just playing, like you're saying, playing chicken and with the organization. But I feel like this is a situation where, I mean, what I think they see is like 25 or 26. So I feel like he might be that, like, willing to sit. Like, hey, you're not going to trade me. I'm just going to sit.
Yeah.
Which I know seems weird, and most players will play. But, if you remember back now, he was older. But remember when Carson Palmer was just kind of like with Cincinnati, like they weren't going to trade him, but he was kind of just done with the organization. And so he says, well, I'm just going to retire early. And then what ended up happening, he was like, basically like, yeah, I'll play if you trade me. And so then they just got what they could and traded him to the Raiders. So I don't know. I mean, Watson feels very strong about that, and they don't want to trade him. And I understand why they don't want to trade him. I wouldn't want to trade him either. It's a weird situation, but yeah, it could be it could be a year.
They traded away like all their players that he knew and trusted. It's in a way, or got rid of them or whatever. Like, the team has gotten worse since over the past year. So I mean, I get why he's frustrated. He signed a deal thinking he had all these weapons that were going to be in this amazing team last year, and then they basically tanked the team, and whether it was on purpose or not, I mean, it was. I can see why he's frustrated, for sure.
Yeah, no, I can too, and I don't know. We'll be see if they do any of those trades. That would be wild. As an owner of DJ Moore, I just love for them to trade him to the Panthers. So, but of course, we don't know how much this is all serious because they all analysts want to say, oh, well, what if they trade this or that? And of course, most of it's just for fun.
Could you imagine with him and CMC? They would probably trade CMC, right? That's kind of the winner. But if they got them together,
Yeah. I don't know. It's always fun to kind of talk about. I mean, most of the time these trades don't really happen, but man, there's just there's that, and of course now we got the tag. Players are starting to get franchise tagged, and so that's. I'm not necessarily surprised. I guess the Bears, I thought it kind of seemed like they were just going to let Allen Robinson walk because of just what's been going on, but now he's tagged, so that's an interesting situation.
Yeah. I feel bad for him. He hasn't had a good quarterback ever.
No.
I feel really bad for him.
No, I was honestly kind of looking forward to him going to go somewhere where he could have obviously better quarterback play. And
Yeah, because
well,
he's great.
unless the Bears get their dream hopes and they get Russell Wilson, you know,
Or Deshaun.
yeah, or Deshaun.
That'd be
Oh man,
great.
gosh. So, but yeah, there's free agents. I mean, we'll be talking more about, I guess Kenny Galladay, they weren't going to tag him. So Kenny Galladay's a free agent. Will Fuller, I guess he's going to have to sit out a game or two next year because of that suspension.
Four, is it four games?
Well, he had to do part of it at the end of the season.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. So I think he's maybe like 2 games that he has to sit out to start and then he can play. So, but I mean, he's still somebody's gonna, he's gonna command interest, obviously. So, because he was having a great season last year. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, and just guys like that. I mean, there's guys that we'll have to see some of the running backs and of course the draft. There's always a bunch of receivers again that they're talking about and running backs. So, what teams get who, and that's always once we see that, then we kind of can determine a little bit more and project, what we think for some of the players. And, so I'm excited to just see all that, how that plays out. And obviously if these quarterbacks get traded, that would drastically change a lot of things. So it's like a lot of wait and see, how it all unfolds. And, but Richard, I think you wanted to talk a little bit about Dynasty.
I do. I'm starting to get really interested in doing Dynasty, and I know there's a few people in the league that want to do it. So I kind of just wanted to talk about it a little bit. I don't want to disrupt the league that we have now. Like I want to keep the league the way we have it now, maybe get rid of kickers, but other than that, keep it like it is. And I kind of just want to start a new league with people that want to do Dynasty, and I want to just try that. But I don't want to do just regular Dynasty. I want to do like crazy Dynasty, like 2 starting QBs or a super flex league or something like that. Like I want it to be kind of a lot more fun, a lot more engaging, and that kind of thing. I just think it would be something different. I know Dynasty is a little bit more year round. In that sort of thing, and it's a whole different dynamic entirely. So it just seems really interesting to want to do. So I was curious your thoughts on doing Dynasty, if you've ever thought about it or if you've ever tried it.
Well, no, I've not tried it. I am really interested. Years ago, I know Jonathan was really wanting to do it, and I was hesitant to start with because we were doing the keepers, and we obviously enjoy like the draft and the number of players we can draft, and partly was just it's worked. What we've done has worked well, and it's been really good. But over the years, I've wanted to do Dynasty. I've actually I thought, man, this could be really fun. And now that I know more about Dynasty, just seeing other people's leagues and how they do Dynasty, and just as we've been playing fantasy football, we've added different things like PPR and an extra flex, just different things. We've tossed around different ideas, like the 2 quarterback league and stuff. But I really would love to do Dynasty. It's picked up steam. Bruce has really wanted to do Dynasty, and he was probably one. I don't think he originally wanted to do it. I mean, when we kind of started this conversation years ago, it was Jonathan and maybe one of the other Camerons that were interested in doing it. Mm-hmm. And nobody else really necessarily wanted to do it, but it's picked up steam. I mean, I know I do, me, Rich, me, you, and Bruce. I don't think, I know that like Dwayne and Nathan and probably Donald were not necessarily huge, in favor of it. But I think it would be really fun. I really do. It's not, I think some people look at it as being complicated, and it's really not. I mean, yes, you don't have the same kind of draft, but you still have a rookies and free agents draft, and I mean it encourages trading. I mean the easy part about it is you have your team, and right. So you carry it on. And I think
it's like a really deep bench, right? That's basically
and so it would just change. Yeah, and it's almost like you look at the NFL, like players that if you're a team that maybe you're not just getting draft picks, but maybe you're just trading for a young player that, this year, he's a rookie, he's just not gotten the opportunity, but next year he could be awesome. And so I'm going to look to next year, he's just going to be on my roster. And I think there is something to that. And I don't think it's rocket science. I think it's just kind of like, hey, hey, I can keep this player. I'll trade for him. This year he didn't do great, but next year, man, he's got tons of talent. And so I don't know. It does add that, we traded a lot more this last year, and it encourages trading. But I don't think it's like somebody has an upper hand. I mean, I know we talk about like the balance and we throw some players back in the pool, but I think if you did a dynasty, the intent and thought was that, okay, like, so we go into this year where, we say, okay, hey, we're just doing our regular draft, but then the following time you're keeping the rest of your roster. As it is right now, you only keep 3 players, and even like say PC, for instance, it changes all the time. So he keeps, whatever, Kelsey, Adams, and Cook. Well, injuries happen. It changes every year. So like Jonathan had McCaffrey, who was hurt. Well, PC might look stacked going into the year, but then, okay, he has an injury or something and his team has changed. So I don't think it's like, the maybe the fear that might be like, man, somebody's going to have an actual dynasty team and we can't, it just is more of a, you actually get to have more of a team that's yours. And then you might just trade them, and it might not have to do with like the immediate season. It might just be, well, I'm going to do some things in my roster, but it doesn't have to be super involved either. It's just a year-long thing like you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. We did, I think a couple of years ago, we tried to talk about, I thought somebody said, hey, maybe we should just try it and do a different league. Like just whoever wants to do dynasty, let's just do one and try it out. So that way, because we don't want to, when we do votes on stuff, I mean, if the league is divided in half, we're not going to make a change because we want the league to be fun and everybody in it. Now, if we have like, 8 or 9 people in the league, they're like, yeah, we want to do this. Then normally we do it, and the others just say, okay, well, the majority wants to do it, and we're going to go with it. I think the thinking has been if for a dynasty, if we got to where we had like 8 people or 9 that say, hey, yeah, we want to try this, we're willing to do it, then we would do it. I think part of it's just been, we've been at that, like, 5, 6 people threshold, and we just, not enough people have wanted to.
That's why I was thinking it would be a second league. It wouldn't be it wouldn't affect this one, because I really like this one the way it is. I don't want to change it. I just wanted to kind of propose like, hey, why don't we start a second league and make that dynasty and like really experience what that's like.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's something we should talk about, and you're right. It might just be that we can't get the interest, especially because it's, I know how everyone's in the off season. You're just kind of in that mode and not thinking about it. But, maybe it is, we try to get up some sort of dynasty league. And I know some people are like, I don't want to add another league in time, but even just as a trial, like, hey, just try it. Even if you're not active, just see how it works. We'll give it a shot. And, if we do it for a season, and let's say we take 5 or 6 people from this league, and we maybe just, I don't know, we add some other people or something from somewhere else, and we just say, hey, we're going to try it out. And if, after a season or 2, we're like, man, this is really fun, then maybe we take it over to this league. But I'm all for it, man. I'm open to it. I mean, I get the draft part, when you have more players, more rounds, and some of the unpredictability, that is fun. I'm not going to, try to hide that. That's a fun thing. But I think, you still have a rookies and free agents draft. And of course, you still can trade, because the other thing with dynasty is, if we got to a draft, you got the rookies and stuff, but there might be more people just trading because it's around the draft. And hey, we're going to just do these trades and these players. And kind of like we see in the NFL, like teams are like, it's before the draft and they're making these moves and these players. And
well, it's like a team will want to get younger, or a team wants to win now, and so they're going to make trades to be able to do that. And so the dynamic of a dynasty is completely different from a normal league because of that, because people are making future moves a lot sooner in the season, or win now or whatever. Like it's just different. And I don't know. I just really want to try it. I don't know how good it is. I don't know much about it. It just seems like a lot of fun. And so it's just something I wanted to bring up, and yeah.
Well, hey, no, I think it's something we could talk about.
12 people. It can be 10 people. It doesn't need to be a crazy big league, or I'd prefer 10 people if we can make it, just to make it a little bit, make it reasonable. But
hey, that's our goal, Richard. It's like we can't get in this league. We'll just say get 10 people. We're gonna do a dynasty league, and I'm with you. I just want to try it out. Like, actually, I mean, I've heard enough about it and the ways people do dynasty league, but so many people and just talk about how it's fun, and I see more and more like kind of a move towards dynasty for people that have been playing a long time. Obviously, if you just kind of been starting out, a lot of people will do seasonal. They might start keeper, but like a lot of people I see kind of veering off into dynasty. And maybe it's not all what we would like, but at least just trying it out, give us an idea,
Yeah, just give it 2 seasons. That's all I want. 2 seasons.
Oh man. Well, Richard, I guess.
Speaking of seasons, I want to ask. I think this season they're increasing by one week, right? It's 18-week season this year.
I think you're right, actually. Yeah.
So, but judging by your face, you haven't thought about that at all, as far as what that means.
I have not thought about that, Richard. I have not. My mind, I told you when we were going to do this episode, I said, I got to get my brain out of off-season mode, because like, here's the thing, man, when fantasy's over, like, yeah, I'm watching the off-season, like, players getting tagged. I'm like, oh, okay. And I see it, I think, but I'm just not in like our league mode where I'm like thinking of, all the things. So, this is, we've never done a show in March. So, there you go. So,
I think the answer is bye week, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Well, all I know is I hope it's going to be a lot different than last season, and with all the COVID stuff and everything. So, well, Richard, I think so. We'll probably, we're in March, so I guess Tunavites. I mean, we'll be back maybe like a post draft after all the free agency and draft. Maybe we'll do like an episode or something.
No promise. Let's not promise that.
I know. Well, we did say that last year, and it never happened. So, yeah.
Okay. Let's not promise that. Let's just promise for when the league starts going again, right before.
We'll let you know when we're starting back. When you all need to pay PC and pick your keepers or whatever, and get back with the program. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We gave PC his congratulations. Let's move on.
Yes. Moving on. We're just, yeah. Who won the championship last year, Richard?
That's
a joke. I'm just kidding. It's PC. It's like, oh gosh. Oh man. Well, you know what, Richard? It was a good season, and I'm excited about whatever this next season looks like, and whatever changes or not changes we make, and that's going to be the.
And also, I just want to tell everybody, I know it's early, way early, but I don't have a draft pick for round 1 or 2. Anyone is available, just talk to me. I would love to keep DeAndre Hopkins, but it's not a mandatory.
It's not a mandatory. I know. Well, you saw PC, like he got done as soon as he won, like he posted on the block update. And I was like, man, he's not wasting time. He's like, let's go.
I saw that.
I was like, oh gosh. Oh, all right, Tunavites. Well, it's good to kind of close off last season and kind of at least get kind of ready a little bit for this coming season. And it'll be here before you know it. And we'll be whatever time we get back, June or July or whatever it is, and we'll be telling you all to come out of your caves and come back. Come.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Yep. All right, Richard. Take care, man.
You too, man. Did I end it? No.
You didn't end it, Richard.